All right, what's up, guys? Jackson Abe here today, and today we're going to talk about how to run your accessory work. So, accessory work is going to look different for everybody, dependent upon their goals. But the one thing we need to keep in mind for everyone, regardless of our goals, is we need to prioritize our weaknesses because we're only as weak, or we're only as strong as the weakest link. So, when we're picking our exercises, we need to ask ourselves, what are our goals? Are we trying to get stronger? Are we trying to improve our work capacity or become more conditioned? Are we trying to get bigger, hypertrophy, increase our muscle size? Do we have a specific sport that we're playing or activity that we are participating in that's going to require a certain way of training? And so these are questions we need to ask ourselves. And then based on those answers is where, exercise selection comes into play. And so I recommend after doing the main work and the supplemental movement that we talked about in the previous videos, 2 to 4 exercises, and that is very dependent upon each individual, what your work capacity is, how much work you can handle, and what your goals are. So I'm a big proponent of not doing just junk bullshit in the gym. I believe that everything should have a purpose and serve a purpose towards our overarching goal, and if it doesn't, then it needs to be questioned why it's in there in the first place. And so this kind of just helps us narrow down our exercise selection and doing things with intent and with purpose. So one quote that I've heard once upon a time from Jim Wendler, he describes this when he trains his high school football athletes, but I think this is a good principle to apply to everybody, general population, or regardless of your goals or a sport you play. We want to pick functional movements because we want to be capable and ready for the everyday demands of life. And so this quote, athlete the lower, bodybuild the upper, is very appropriate for a lot of demographics. And so there are many modalities that you can plug and play with accessory work, and why accessory work is so fun and so great is because you can get really creative once you have a good level of understanding of the basic fundamentals down, i.e. rowing, hinging, pressing, squatting, carrying, all that kind of stuff. You need to have those things down before you can start to dabble in stuff like supersets, drop sets, giant sets. A lot of the modalities stem into answering the question of what are our goals. If our goals are work capacity and conditioning, circuits, AMRAPs, 10-to-1 ladders, things of those natures are going to make a lot of sense for our accessory work, combining things together, low rest intervals, high intensity. That's the kind of accessory work we're going to be looking for if that's our goals. But there's other things like time sets, or performing sets for time, setting a clock and just going, however many sets or reps you get in is dependent upon that. And then things like myo reps and cluster sets. There's just so much out there that accessory work can be really fun if you either have a good coach or kind of know how to navigate yourself through the gym. Accessory work can get pretty nasty, and that's another thing that a lot of people neglect is just doing their accessory work. Accessories are important because they're going to take care of certain muscle groups, whether they're lagging or need improvement in certain areas or for certain things. This is why accessory work is so important, is because we are tackling our weaknesses and we are getting better. And so we need to take our accessory work very seriously every single time we step into the gym. I believe in pushing your accessories very hard like you would traditional barbell lifts, but at the same time, you also have to know your limits and know what the purpose is intended for that accessory movement. And so that's a whole different conversation, but this is a very brief overview of kind of how to run your accessory work. And just one last little note, accessories can be run in 1 to 3 week blocks. 1 week, if you're trying out something new and you don't really like it, then you can move on, but you don't want to just be doing something different every single week for the sake of just doing something different. Like I said earlier, everything needs to have intent, everything needs to have a purpose and why we are doing it. Otherwise, we're just wasting our time in the gym if we're not doing things that are pushing us towards or closer towards our goals. So, if you're going to run it in 2 weeks, ideally you just want to either beat the reps, decrease the time that you rested between your sets, increase the weight, things of that nature. And if you're going to run it in 3 weeks, it's kind of the same deal. Either you're trying to, increase the weight over those 3 weeks, or you're trying to decrease the amount of time that you're resting in between sets, utilizing the same amount of weight, or you're just trying to do more reps every single week, which isn't always the best approach, but that's neither here nor there. I did include a little 3 week block per se. In week 1, you just perform high reps, doing multiple sets in the 15 to 25 range. Week 2, you're dropping the set or reps down between 8 and 12. You may increase the sets depending on how many sets you do in week 1. And then week 3, you're really trying to hammer out some weight, trying to bump the weight up every single week, so that way you're doing less reps, maybe a few more sets each week. But yeah, that's just a little 3-week block that you can run with some of your accessories, like say a goblet squat or a dumbbell bench press, something simple like that. So this is just a brief overview of how to set up your accessories and how to run your accessory work. I like to think I covered a decent amount of bases here that can point you guys in the right direction. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the page. Like, share, comment, shoot your questions down below. Would love to get at them. Everybody get after it today. Be great.